Maybe so they know we aren't scary, wear hats.
Welcome to Hot Girl Stomps. Welcome back. Another week, another episode of the Stomping Girls and Bonnie the dog. All three of us are the Stomping Girls, really, but Bonnie the dog's the honorary mention.
We need to get Bonnie her own
little microphone.
episode.
Oh my god, we should get her like a little microphone.
We should do an episode on ghost dogs and get Bonnie's opinion on that.
I'm sure Bonnie will have so many opinions.
She will have
dogs.
so much to say.
So much to say. How are you, Gemma?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's been, well, at the time of recording this particular episode, our episode 1 has released.
It has.
We're feeling good. Well, I'm feeling good about it. How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling really good. I've had so many nice, guys, when we said in, I think either in the pilot or the first episode, probably both, like when we laugh about all 5 of our listeners, like
well, that's how we thought. That's what we thought was going to happen. Yeah,
feet in the floor, like 100%. We thought this is and it is purely a hobby. We're not making any money off this.
No.
We're never going to. It's just a hobby. But like, so to get just nice, genuine feedback is just. We really appreciate it.
100%. And it's really funny. You don't know this yet, but so Gemma and I have got a friend group. We all play games at Gemma's house once a week. And I'm calling this particular person out now. They're just going to have to deal with it. They said it. So this week, when we were playing at our friend Steve's house, our friend Gemma, we've also got a friend called Gemma. Gemma was like, oh, the episode was really great, like blah, blah, blah. And then her husband, Graham, who does not believe in ghosts at all, is not remotely interested, turns around and goes, it's actually really good. And me and Lewis, our heads snapped to him like, what do you mean by, oh, it's actually really good? Like you expected it to be terrible. And he's like, no, I didn't mean that. I meant for someone that doesn't like believe in ghosts at all. It was actually really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Which coming from Graham, bless you, Graham, is actually a really big compliment.
God bless Graham.
God bless you, Graham. But we've had a lot of people, like college friends for you, like university friends, work friends for myself, people we don't really know that have messaged and said, you know, the episode was really interesting, really good to listen to. So we're really grateful for that. It's
like
really
you
kind.
said, like even for those of you who aren't paranormally inclined, like just like the general feel of it and the chemistry and the way obviously Lou's managed to edit it, like just some really, really nice compliments. But side note, if you guys have feedback that like even isn't so positive, like we want to hear all of it, like whether you think things could be done differently or better.
We want other people, like I can't remember again whether it was the trailer or episode 1 where you mentioned this podcast really is just for people who kind of want to sit down with a cup of tea and kind of just listen to like their 2 girlfriends having a chat for half an hour. That's exactly what we want this to be. So we want to make sure that it's, you know, easy for you guys to listen to and to follow along with. And please give that feedback, because so far it's just been 100% positive. Like I don't even think we've had a single like you could do this. Everything's just been so kind, so we're really appreciative. Thank you guys for that. I know we're probably a few episodes in at this point, but at the time of recording only episode 1 is out and it's all we've got to go off of, so it could be all downhill from here. The last 3 episodes could have been naff,
diabolical.
But we don't know that yet.
No we'll just stay in our little bubble.
What was interesting, before we move on to the main topic, obviously what we want people to tell us their opinions on the things that we talk about. We want you to tell us your experiences with the things that we discuss. We have had a couple of comments off of episode 1. So Gemma, I know you've had somebody that's reached out with a comment.
Yes. I had a colleague, an old colleague of mine who I didn't even know. I think neither, and it's funny, isn't it? Like you work with people and you see them so often, but
I think people that are into the paranormal, that is
it's
one
not a
of the
convo
last
opener,
things
is it?
You bring up. I still work with people now who I've worked with for years. When I say I'm a paranormal investigator, what are you doing at the weekend? Recording for my podcast, my paranormal podcast. Paranormal, you don't strike me as that. And it's like, you've known me for 5 years, but you don't talk about it because you never know how people are gonna react.
It's not. I don't know. What's a hobby you could even liken it to? Like, I like running. That's a nice safe topic, rather than tell me how you feel about the universe. Why are we here?
Yeah, what do you think is on the afterlife, on the other side?
Yeah.
No, it's not really a meeting conversation.
It's not really office friendly necessarily, is it? But no, bless her. My colleague, I will read out the Instagram message she sent me. I'll leave out the compliment bit, but just basically saying like that she found the podcast really great and everything. And then she put, I have discussed this with her and she was happy for me to share, by the way, but side note, I have seen a variation of the Hat Man, a hooded man, also around the age of 8 or 9. She said it was more like what you'd experienced, yes. Sherry, with who you'd seen in the computer screen. Yes. She said she described him to her parents and they got creeped out, and as they thought it was the Grim Reaper, and it was also at the end of her bed, but never came close to her, just stood there at the end of the bed. So this weird group of shadow men, do they need a therapy meeting? I
don't know. It goes back to what we were discussing in episode 1, doesn't it? With like, why kids? Why are you staring at kids, sir?
Yeah.
Stop it.
We need a meeting. We need an intervention for these shadow men. People. And if you are a force of good, like, you need to change the outfit, guys. Like, this needs rethinking.
This black robe thing.
Who thought black robes were it? And hats?
Me. Sherry the Goth thought so.
Maybe, so they know we aren't scary. Wear hats. I'm sorry.
So your Hat Man impressions. I hope to God that's what the Hat Man actually sounds like. Hello, children. No. Interestingly, I also had one of my colleagues who you have met, Siobhan. I did tell her I was going to use this, so soz Shiv, it's happening. She told me that she experiences the Hat Man regularly, but as a form of sleep paralysis, and like her like story is utterly terrifying. I don't know how she deals with it, but she says like she has it all the time, where she's suffering the sleep paralysis, but like he's in different places, and like sometimes he's coming closer, and she actually described him in the exact same way as you did with regards to no face, but you can see that he's grinning even though you can't see a face, and I'm just like, that is just
put that in the bin.
Absolutely not. So yeah, so it's good and bad that we're getting these things come in. I'm sorry that you guys are also having to see these shadow people, but like, thank you for sharing those stories with us, and please, again, any stories that you've got, anything that we discuss, anything that you want us to cover,
please
and talk
utilise
about.
the Insta comments. There's loads of ways you could. We have an email. Sherry's put it all on that link tree. If you go in our bio, Sherry has put it all there. Facebook, Insta, Facebook for old people like me, Insta. An email if you've got maybe a longer format story, but perhaps you don't want it all sharing. Like whatever you're comfortable with. We've got loads of ways you can reach out.
And just speaking of Facebook, the Facebook, we might have mentioned it previously. We had a few issues with the name of the Facebook, so we have changed it. It is now HGS Paranormal Podcast. If you like that page, search and like that page, you can find the link to it in a link tree, but also in there we've got a group, which is a discussions group, so you guys can join that, hang out with each other. We can talk, we can, you can post your own stuff in there, and we can all debate it and chat about it. Like, we would really encourage people not only to actually like the page for our updates, but also to join that group if you want to chat with other listeners, other like-minded people around paranormal topics, send in your stories, stuff like that. So that's all there for you, and we would encourage you to come and chat with us.
Do it. I need to stop with why am I whispering?
You're whispering. Gemma's going to open a Hot Girl Stomps ASMR channel on YouTube.
Aggressive whispering.
So I'm going to bring us on to our main topic for today's episode. So all Gemma knows is the topic itself. She does not know anything else. So I'm going to be talking us through this. This is a subject that I have had an interest in for many years. This is probably my second top after UFOs in terms of like non-ghost related stuff that I am like really interested in. I'll watch any documentary, and that is the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, many other names for him. I don't know why I find the Bigfoot so fascinating. I'm going to go, even though we haven't discussed the topic yet, I am fully going to out myself as a full-on Bigfoot believer. I 100% believe in Bigfoot. Gemma is smiling at me. What is your opinion? Without hearing anything I'm about to tell you, where's your head at with the Bigfoot?
I want you to
Change your mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because either I'm in two trains of thought.
Okay.
So number one, no, he's just a made up thing.
Okay.
Or B, it's boring and it is just a creature and he's just living his life.
He's just minding his business.
Yeah.
And people
But
keep
he's like an
bothering
animal,
him.
nothing
weird.
Yeah. Like he's just
he's not some
big-footed-
kind of monster or like supernatural being. He's just an animal.
He's a creature.
Undiscovered or misseen, like people are seeing it incorrectly.
I think, yeah.
And that makes sense, and that is something that I will cover off because
I
there's
would
a lot
love
of different
for you
reasons.
to change my mind, though.
Well, I hope I do. I don't know why I believe so strongly in this, but I just do. So, I can't believe that there is anybody in the world that doesn't know what a Bigfoot is, but on the off chance that you don't, so the general sightings of a Bigfoot are usually about 7 or 8 foot tall. They're like a humanoid or ape-like figure, covered in hair, and they always seem to walk upright on 2 feet. Really, the majority of sightings are in like the northwest of the US, as with a lot of the cryptid stuff. But then again, I think, going back to previous podcast episodes where we've talked about this, maybe this is just because we're more exposed to Western culture that we are just talking about things that we sort of are familiar with, and therefore they're all kind of UK or US. I don't know. It is present in Native American folklore in these specific regions, so northwest US, Canada, those sort of places. But there are sightings of it all over the world, and there are different cultures that have got different names for it, which I'll go into in a little bit. Some of the things that have led people to believe that Bigfoot exists is people claim to have seen him. One of the biggest ones is footprints, and actually the first kind of major, let's say viral sighting of a Bigfoot was in 1958. So again, quite modern. These all seem to be quite modern, but I think it's just because this is when televisions and radios really started, and like information really started to flow freely. So I think when we're talking about these cryptids or these supernatural beings, they all seem to be like, oh, we first heard about them in the 60s, 70s. I think it's just a case of the first sort of like major experiences that people have had that have kind of like exploded over the media just happen to be in these times. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a case of this is the first time he's ever
word of mouth
occurred.
going down families. Or
exactly.
Your great grandpappy saw I need to
big
stop it
bear
with the
man.
voices. There was a darn big one on 2 foot, it did.
Gemma, I love you. Please
Sorry.
don't change. This was in Northern California. This kind of first famous case, and it was actually a contractor who was working out in some woodland out in Northern California who found some footprints that were too large to be a human, but they were humanoid footprints. So that kind of went viral. After that, the sightings and obviously people submitting evidence kind of went through the roof, as they always do. After Rothwell with the UFO incident, people suddenly started seeing UFOs everywhere, because as soon as it's in people's brains, I don't know whether that's like a psychological thing or whether it's just a case of everyone's looking out for it now and is suddenly seeing it. I don't know. The most famous, and I am convinced by this footage, and I'm going to share this footage with you shortly, Gemma.
I'm excited.
The most famous footage of a Bigfoot was the Patterson-Gimlin film. So there were 2 guys, I say there were 2 friends, but one of them kind of met the other one and convinced him to join him on his pursuit for Bigfoot. They recorded a video in 1967, again in Northern California, so not very long after, less than 10 years after that sort of initial famous one, also in California. Could it have been the same Bigfoot? Who knows? But they were purposefully going out looking for a Bigfoot. So I can't remember whether it was Patterson or if it was Gimlin, but one of them for years and years had been trying to get enough money together to actually make a Bigfoot film and go out and search for the Bigfoot. He was convinced the Bigfoot existed. So I'm going to show Gemma a video, and I am so convinced by this, and I'm going to talk about why I believe that this video is real afterwards. For you guys at home that are listening, I am going to let you view this on all of our socials. I'll post it as soon as this episode goes out, so you can also have a look. But Gemma, if you would like to press play on this video for me. It's not a very long video, it's about 10 seconds. and it's just what you would describe as a Bigfoot walking through the woods, looking back at the camera as he walks. It's 10 seconds long. It's the most famous, and I would say most people who have seen a Bigfoot video has probably seen that specific video.
Mm-hmm.
What's your first thoughts about it when you first just watched it then?
I don't know, what year did you say that was captured?
1967.
Okay.
So this footage that I've just showed you has been upscaled into 4K. So they've stabilised the footage. It was a lot shakier because it was recorded on like a proper like.
Is that why he's got a weird effect around him?
Yes.
Like, he looks like he's pulsing.
Yeah. So it's basically somebody's stabilised the footage so that you can actually sort of see like what he's doing. But yeah, I'm just going to show her the video again.
I'm watching it again. There's a lot to process.
Interesting. She's thinking. But yeah, so while Gemma
the effects around it are throwing me off a bit, but
I get that.
let's for a second say that that's
real. Let's say
100% genuine. Yeah. Then that, yes, 100%. That is very, because I'm trying to describe it for anybody that's listening before, if they don't actually see the clip. It's a gorilla on steroids.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. So I've done a lot. I love this video, and over the years, because I watch a lot of Bigfoot videos. Actually, one of my favourite Bigfoot documentaries was Jack Osbourne, Ozzy Osbourne's son. Mm-hmm. He took a guy called Jay Muse out, who is an actor. If you've ever seen Jay and Silent Bob, he plays Jay in that movie. They went out Bigfoot hunting, and I just thought it was a great episode. I love Bigfoot hunters. They're all insane, and I love that.
They are your people.
They are my people. I love the ones that go out just into the woods looking for Bigfoot, and they've got the mating cries and all of this stuff. But what I really love are the people who sit and analyse footage. And
I was just going to say, do you know if anyone's watched that clip and sort of like commented on it?
Yes. So I've watched quite a few videos of sort of animal experts, like zoologists, people that understand animal anatomy, ape experts, like all sorts of people. And a lot of them actually believe it. So this is a very, very well... I'm trying to think of the word, really. It's a very difficult video for people to disprove. A lot of people find ways to disprove it, but also people struggle to to say, well, it's fake. There's a lot of people that are struggling with finding faults in it.
Can I just say, literally, I'm gonna ADHD. Hi.
Hello.
I'm gonna have to word vomit this before it enters my brain. So to try and describe that to somebody. If you believe in evolutionary theory, if you believe we came from apes, he looks like the very last stage between an ape and a man. Like he's kind of been caught in genetic limbo.
Yes. And that's exactly what a lot of the experts think. So they've looked at it. So they have looked at the way that the limbs move. So human, like at the elbow joint, human elbows generally, like from the elbow joint to the hand, have got like a certain like measurement, and from the elbow to the shoulder, a certain measurement. They've got a certain way that they can bend and that they can move. And this particular video, whatever is in this video, because people will say, oh, it's obviously a man in a big costume.
Yeah.
They've actually looked at the distance between the elbow and the hand to figure out how tall this being is, and it is like 8 feet tall. So unless they have found in this local area in Northern California the best for 1967, the best outfit that is like anatomically correct, that they have managed to like perfectly make and like perfectly fit some 8 foot tall person on like zero budget. And they proved that the guy that made the video had no money because he had attempted to sell belongings in order to make enough money to purchase the camera equipment go out on this expedition. Like there were 3 separate occasions where they recorded him going into pawn shops in Los Angeles trying to sell like collectibles that he has and stuff, just to try and scrape together money to make this documentary. So he certainly wouldn't have had enough money for like the best of the best costume maker in the world to make this costume, because animal experts have looked at it and they've even shown like where it's got some marks down its leg, down its thigh, and it was stumping people for a while. And what they've realized is that that's where, for an animal that walks everywhere, when when you're walking, your hands like scrape against your leg back and forth as you move. that's where like the fur is worn down as its hands are coming back and forth in its swing. So they've even analysed it down to that, and they've looked at the muscles and how the muscles move, like when they've zoomed the footage in, and they can see that like when the foot hits the floor, the muscle mass and the movement in the muscles indicates an extremely heavy creature, an extremely heavy foot going down. The way that the leg moves goes up to a 90-degree angle, which is like not something that human leg does. So even if it was person in a costume, the way that the actual limbs itself are moving are not synonymous with what an actual person could make their body do, even in a suit. So this is why I am so convinced by this footage. Like, usually you watch these videos, like I've watched a lot of like Bigfoot videos on the internet, and everyone's like, obviously fake. This is the only one where like more than not the comments are all like, I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah.
I just think it's absolutely fascinating. Am I swaying you yet, Gemma, on this?
You've definitely piqued my interest now. Okay. I think because I've never seen. I think, like you say, I don't have the innate love for Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So I've probably never gone searching for it.
So
yeah, stuff I've come across has just been happen chance when I've probably been searching for some other weird cryptid stuff. So I've only ever seen like the weird shadow in the trees and stuff like that, which could well be a monkey.
A monkey, yeah.
A monkey.
Absolutely.
Walking, doing its own thing.
And a lot of the theories around, so there's so many stories of people coming across Bigfoots in out in the wild, and there are so many things that people have obviously got explanations for this. Even the animal experts themselves, you know, there are people that say black bears, when a black bear stands upright, which is usually when they're injured, they would usually stand upright when they're injured. A black bear normally is about 5 to 7 feet, but a grizzly bear, which we do know also stand up on their hind legs, could be, you know, 8 to 9 feet tall when standing.
But a bear looks like a bear.
A bear does look like a bear, but if you are out in the woods at night, and a lot of the time when people say they've heard a Bigfoot, it does sound a little bit like a grizzly bear, to be fair. Like a lot of the videos that I've seen where people have caught audio footage of them, it does sound like a bear, I've got to say. You're out in the woods, are you stopping to get a proper look at it, or are you legging it? And there are, unfortunately, a lot of instances where people have mistook other things for Bigfoots that have turned out not to be Bigfoots. So in 2013, there was a man in Oklahoma who accidentally shot his friend while they were Bigfoot hunting because his friend came back through the woods. He just saw a person coming through the woods and shot, and then he accidentally shot his friend. So he had to actually file a police report and say, I'm really sorry that I shot my friend in the back.
Did he kill him?
No, I don't think so, but he did shoot him.
Wow.
In 2017, there was a shaman that was out in the woods in North Carolina who was wearing animal furs, and he panicked locals, and locals were spreading around that they were seeing this Bigfoot, but it was actually just a dude wearing some fur. 2018, there was a hunter who shot a person in Montana thinking it was Bigfoot coming out of the woods. So there's plenty of stories where people absolutely do mistake things that are absolutely not a Bigfoot for a Bigfoot. So there's 100% that people could be mistaking a bear, which I think looks a lot more like a Bigfoot than a person, to the point that they've shot people, which is insane. Also, one really important thing around the bears is there are more sightings of Bigfoot in places where black bears are prevalent than not. There are reports of Bigfoot in areas where there are no bears, but the most sort of prevalent areas where Bigfoot gets sighted in the north of the US is black bear territories. So that's just, you know, a little side note, or, you know, a little bit of an potential explanation that you could have.
So I'm trying to pin you down on this now. So
what? Because I believe that I'm always logical.
So you are, which is why I'm going to ask you. I am the audience right now.
Okay.
I love this format.
Gemma is literally adjusting herself in her chair with a cup of tea.
So you're acknowledging that probably 99% of sightings are false.
Yes. Maybe not 99%.
Maybe not 99%.
I think there's a very large amount.
A high percentage.
Yeah.
So you think a living Bigfoot is rolling around now?
Yes.
Okay.
Not just one, potentially.
Okay. So you think this is an animal that just lives in very small numbers?
I don't know. So there is a saying, and I can't remember who said it. There's a famous quote about it, but I fully believe it, in that there are areas of the world, let alone just the US, like the US has got forest that is so vast that, you know, you could be lost in it for like a week without finding a house or another person. There are areas of this world where a person has not set foot. What's not to say that, you know, in these remotest areas that they live in these
maybe they're nomadic
really
as
far,
well.
yeah, maybe they, you know, I think they live alone, because I don't know if I've ever seen anything credible that I would go maybe around there being sort of more than one. I know there are males and females, because I've seen some really credible footage of what look like male presenting yetis or whatever. The footage that I mentioned earlier, the Patterson Gimlin film, actually has been analysed that is a female. If it is an ape-like creature, they've compared its face shape and its brow shape, and it's actually got the brow shape of female apes, because they've got a slightly more prominent sort of upper brow, and it also had breasts in the video. When you zoomed in on it, like the shape of its body is more what the shape of like maybe a female gorilla or a female chimpanzee would have over a male. So I think they're still out there breeding.
And for the species, I was going to say, for the species to continue,
there must be a male. Well,
there must be.
They could be, you know, one of those, I don't know what the word for it is, you know, like
seahorses.
Like frogs, where they can change their gender and breed if there's like a lack of one side of the gender.
This is getting really...
I'm just saying, maybe the Bigfoots change gender.
I thought we were agreeing. Wait.
Gemma's like, mind is
I'm having an existential crisis. Right. You
let me get this straight.
You disagree with me then that it isn't like a weird in-between form of ape and human, because it can't be just changing genders.
I don't disagree, and the reason I don't disagree, I will tell you in a second. So over 200,000 years ago, there was an actual creature that we know existed. It went extinct about 200,000 years ago, but it existed from about 2 million years ago up until that sort of 3 to 200k sort of mark, called and I'm so sorry if I can't pronounce this because this is one of those species names, but a Gigantopithecus, I think is what it's called, which was an ape, and we know it existed. We've got proof that it existed. That was a very large, potentially, I think there was 2 different species of it. One was sort of a little bit smaller than humans, and one was about 2 to 3 times bigger, or 1.8 meters, I think, was sort of like the average height. Taller than us, 1.8 meters taller than us. So they generally lived in central China. Their first remains of one were discovered in 1935, and then there was another massive, I think it was like a mouth with the teeth still intact, or a jawbone with the teeth still intact, in 1956. So I don't know whether that has anything to do with there being this sudden big spike in cases, because obviously there was the 1958 was when the sort of the first big viral sort of encounter or whatever with the footprints, whether this person's seen it in the news, but we know that particular species existed. My point with this is even now, there are scientists who are still trying to photograph animals that they know exist, but trying to photograph them alive for the first time in history, that have never been caught on camera, or haven't been caught on camera for 200 years. Like, you know, I recently saw a video of some scientists somewhere in a tropical region, and they managed to get a bird that hadn't been photographed for 200 years finally on a trail camera. And they obviously like celebrated. It was like the most amazing thing. What's to say that some of these, we think that they went extinct 200,000 years ago, which in, you know, the timeline of life on Earth is not that long ago when you look at how old the Earth is and how long ago the dinosaurs were. What's to say that in these really, really, you know, remote regions of the world, and let's think about Pangaea, we all used to be one big massive connected landmass. They could easily have moved through those land masses and settled in small groups around the world, in the world's forests. In this, you know, central China is not far from Russia. Half of Russia's never, you know, unpopulated. Who's to say that this gigantic ape doesn't still exist and hasn't just evolved through time and managed to sort of live relatively unseen? Because in China still now, there are still sightings. In folklore in China, they call it a yeren. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. There have been consistent sightings of this since 340 BC, to the point that in more recent years, the Chinese Academy of Science have even gone out on expeditions to try and find proof of this creature. So it's not just Chinese folklore. So Turkic folklore. So Turkic is sort of your, obviously Turkey, but also your sort of Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, those kind of areas and that sort of culture. They also have a word for it, which is the almas or almasti. I'm not, again, my pronunciations are completely probably off. In Australia, they call it a yowie or a yowie, I think. You get the yeti. So yeti is actually a word that they use not only in Canada, but in sort of the sort of tribes of Africa, like mid Africa. But when I was looking at sort of a map, I tried to marry it up to like when the land masses were together versus what the current sightings that we know of. And the only areas that were really untouched by any sort of sightings was the north of Africa, which actually forms almost like a band. When we were all connected, there was like a band, which is where North Africa was. And everything south of that and everything north of that has Bigfoot sightings. Obviously, we've all shifted around now, like Japan's moved over, Australia's moved up, China's moved down, all of that, but we've all still got these sightings, which I just think is fascinating.
That is so interesting.
I know.
Wait, am I a Bigfooter now?
Are you a Bigfooter now?
Do we have names?
I don't know. I'm going to have to find that out. If anyone knows...
Not Swifties, but Big Fisties.
Big Fisties.
Big Fisties.
No, we're not.
Big Fisties.
We are not being called the Big Fisties. Absolutely
Bigfoot
not.
cheese. We're already getting in trouble with Hot Girl Stomps.
We already are getting. We can't be calling ourselves to do with
Big Fisties.
feet. No, Gemma. Jesus. The last part I'm going to discuss around Bigfoot. So I've almost got my own little Bigfoot experience. It's not that exciting, but in my old job, I used to have to travel to different sites to do some like training with some of my staff, and we had a site in a place called Stanton, which is right on the border of Norfolk and Suffolk, which is over on the right hand side in the UK, over on the eastern coast sort of thing. And I stayed in a town called Thetford. We always stayed there, you know, like my company would always put everyone in the same hotel. The hotel was called The Bell, and The Bell was really haunted. So me being me, I'm like, I'm going to look up, you know, the ghosts of The Bell hotel because I really want to know. And that's something that I'll talk about at a later date, because I immediately asked reception, what are the ghost stories? Because I do this every time I stay in an old hotel, everywhere I go.
Tell me everything.
Typical me. But I was like, I wonder what other sort of like paranormal things there are around Thetford. I'm going to be there on my own. I'm going to be bored, you know, maybe I'll go for a walk. So I started looking into sort of the local area around Thetford. Surprise, surprise, something I never would have guessed is that area has a massive Bigfoot sighting population, which I never expected. I didn't even realise we had them in the UK, let alone in Thetford. And it's specifically like Thetford Forest, and there's like one little stretch of the road down there that they call it like the Beast of the A, whatever the road's called. So I was like, oh my God. So I was like, how on earth is there a Bigfoot?
Just for anyone else at home that's like geographically incompetent like I am, where is Thetford? So
you know where Norfolk is? You know, like over towards Great Yarmouth?
Yeah.
If you're going over towards that way, so you go sort of like past Peterborough, past Cambridge, and then into sort of Norfolk, Suffolk, which is that little sort of like blob on the right hand side is Norfolk and Suffolk. By the way, so dead out there. Like, I was thinking to myself, how on earth is there a Bigfoot like living out in the middle of England? Because if you know anything about England, like you can't probably go 2 feet down the road without finding a house. There's like, we're very, very populated. You couldn't get
unless
lost
you're in like
here.
the Scottish Highlands.
Yeah, but like if you're anywhere
like
sort of remotely sort of like England really, maybe like Cornwall and Scotland and maybe the mountains
outers.
Of Wales. Yeah. But I was like, how are we hiding a Bigfoot? You know, America makes sense, Russia makes sense. There are vast thousands of miles of, you know, forest. How does that make sense? So in Thetford Forest is actually apparently it's more akin to what England used to be like. It's kind of got its own like biodiverse kind of like forest that is different to sort of a lot of other forestry in England. It's more like old times where it's very, very dense, very more like what the forests of the United Kingdom used to be like. It's like an ancient forest, untouched, which is potentially how, if this Bigfoot is really out there, it's sort of being able to stay sort of safe, I guess. As I drove there, like there's no motorways, you can't get a motorway over to that area, so you're driving just through the countryside, and it is so vast and terrifying. Like genuinely, I was like, this is like being in the Twilight Zone out here. It is so weird. And then I went to the hotel, stayed in the hotel. The next morning I had to be over in Stanton, which was about a 15-minute drive, and I had to get there at like 6 a.m. So it was pitch black outside. I'm driving this company car that I hate with an inbuilt sat-nav and all of this. I'm driving along through the forest in the dark in a car that I don't know and I don't like driving, and then the sat-nav stops working. So I'm like, crap, I don't know where I am, I don't know where I'm going, so I had to pull over in the middle of this dense forest trying to sort the sat-nav out. And I remember just stopping and going, oh my God.
I bet your heart was like boom, boom, boom,
yeah,
boom, boom,
I
boom.
remembered where I was, and I was like, I'm going to see a Bigfoot. Oh my God, I'm going to get kidnapped by Bigfoot.
This is the time.
This is it.
Yeah.
And then this Porsche like zoomed past me, so I was like, I'm just going to follow him because he's going somewhere and I want to go where he's going.
Yeah.
So I followed this Porsche until I found a village, and then I pulled over and sorted my sat-nav out. But for a moment there, I really thought, this is it. I'm getting got.
I'm gonna get the
by Bigfoot
experience I've craved.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily crave it. I'm not sure if I want to see a Bigfoot, but I just think the whole premise of him or her or it or they or whatever is fantastic, and I hope that there is a Bigfoot. I just think it's amazing, and everything I've ever seen, they just want to be left alone. Like they appear to be very gentle.
This is what I'm saying. So I think you've converted me, and I now have my own theory.
I love this.
If it is sort of that last stage of between ape and human, if it's of humanoid intelligence, but of animal instinct, and sort of a weird hybrid, has it just, like you say, developed manners and ways of being
possibly
hidden because it's sort of a heightened level of intelligence?
Maybe, yeah.
He could, right. So
oh, Gemma's
what's
in.
Happening is,
she's here, guys. She's calling him a he now. She believes
they are in like little nomadic groups, and they live in like underground. They must do
or caves or something.
Little. Because they, like, I'm gonna say, like they use like tools and like, because obviously apes use tools anyway. Yeah. They're just trolling us. They're like,
do you reckon?
Yeah.
So you think they're trolling us, whereas I think they are just like, because any footage I've seen generally, like they tend to be like, they almost like startle and then like walk away. Like I've even seen a video, and it was in Russia actually, or in a region of Russia that was sort of like closer over towards sort of like Mongolia, that sort of area, and it was doing almost like parkour to get away from them in this video. It was like leaping over like trees and all sorts. Off it went.
And then he's going back to his little family of 5.
Scared of humans.
Lads, we need to move on. Like, they've just seen me.
Off we go. Maybe.
Pack up the cave.
Pack up the whole cave.
Yeah, they've got an underground cave system.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
As above, so below. Or no, The Descent. That's one of those horror films where they go
maybe
underground.
Not quite to that extent. But like, I'm thinking mossy, safe. They've seen what we're about, and they're like, absolutely not.
We don't want any part of this.
Absolutely not.
Well, just the last piece on this then, really. So your sort of theory is that there may be like a human sort of ape hybrid, or maybe they've not, they're a lesser evolved version of a human potentially, but 8 foot tall. Again, back to that footage and zoologists and people that have sort of like studied it, they studied the face of it and they've compared it to, like I say, with the brow line and stuff, but they compared the nose, and like everything kind of almost syncs up to sort of gorillas or chimps in sort of the body structure, the general body structure, apart from the nose, which is more human in that footage. So it may just be that, this sort of like giant ape, the Giganta Brontosaurus Rex, whatever I called it earlier. I've got rid of my paper now. I can't remember what it was called. But that, that being that we know existed, what over 200,000, 300,000 years that it's believed to be extinct, who's to say that it hasn't evolved a little bit along, the evolution line that we took the same path of? Maybe it's just slightly become a little bit more human in sort of some of its features over that time, and it is just living its life out in the woods.
So you think we've not come across any remains because we're not looking in the right places?
Well, there are remains that have been discovered, but whether it's too similar to apes, potentially. The head is still very similar to a gorilla. Potentially it's been mistaken for a gorilla skull, or maybe they're so far off in the forests that we haven't discovered enough of it to be able to make an identification. I don't know. I'm just thinking,
like, in regards to the foot, as is its namesake, I'm thinking in remains, would that not be, if they're too big to be
a human
primatial? Sorry,
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If they're if they are a distinguishable feature, why have we not found distinguishable feet bones?
Distinguishable feet bones.
Right, Lou. I know exactly what you
mean. That's a good question. Maybe we need to find a zoologist or an ape expert to come on and talk to us about the Bigfoot in the future. Maybe they're going to be able to shed some light on our questions. I would love to know what people's theories are on this. Maybe there are people out that are listening that know more about Bigfoot than me. Like, I'm very much a casual Bigfoot fan in that, like, I will watch documentaries. I love watching the crazy documentaries of the crazy people living out in the woods that are like, there's Bigfoot out there. Like, that's my fave. They're not necessarily the most scientific videos, but I love watching it. So I'm all ears from listeners if they've got any, like, distinguishable evidence for me. For and against, I'll take it either way.
Yeah, we are open to both sides. But no, in all seriousness, thank you for all of your research. That was really well presented, and
you're welcome.
I definitely would say, from someone who has just gone to, like, what? And you know me,
ain't no Bigfoot.
I am so woo-woo, and I love a theory.
You're so woo-woo.
I am so woo-woo, and I love a theory, but Bigfoot, I've always just, like,
blasé.
Of course it's an animal. Like, what? But you have
altered something.
You've turned. I wouldn't say I'm ready to be cult leader yet, but you've definitely swayed my thinking a little bit, and I would hope maybe
no cult leader of the Bigfootsies, whatever we were calling ourselves earlier. No, okay, that's fine.
Do you want some Bigfoot slippers for Christmas?
Yeah,
okay.
Genuinely.
So to summarise,
yes,
everything you've just said, I would just like you to just sort of so your thinking is
Bigfoot, yes.
Just yes.
Just that. Just Bigfoot, yes.
But you think it's its own creature?
I think it's its own creature, whether it's a, ancient creature that didn't go extinct like we thought it did, which I fully believe, and we've proved that scientifically before, where we have genuinely thought that a creature was extinct and then it has showed up 100,000 years later. Why can't this be the case too? That's where my head's at.
I love that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Are there any other animals you think exist? Maybe we probably need to do Nessie, don't we?
I think we probably do.
Or is Nessie overdone?
I think we need to go to Scotland and do Nessie.
Okay.
We're doing it.
We're not... Okay.
If you want
out of everyone that's been to try and see Nessie, she's just
we're going
to
see Nessie. I know, but I feel...
Hot Girl Stomps coming to see me.
I feel like with the Loch Ness Monster, we need to see the loch... Get a vibe for it, get a feel for the size of it and where it is and all of that, and we can do it one day.
Fair.
A group trip, a group outing to Loch Ness.
Hot Girl Stomps on the road.
Yeah.
Hot Girl
road trip. No offense.
Rolling.
Well, I'm not stealing your shtick, My Haunted Road Trip. I'm sorry. Don't copyright claim us.
No. But yeah, is there any animals you think exist that you think need a case being brought forward, and we will look into it?
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for another episode of Hot Girl Stomps. Reminder, follow us on our socials. On Facebook and TikTok, we are HGS Paranormal Podcast. On Instagram, we are Hot Girl Stomps. You can find our link tree on there, find access to our YouTube, our emails, everything else. And we will see you on the next episode.
See you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.